I never know how to start these things. Like, you want to introduce yourself and everything, but by this point in time, if you've come to my channel or just find my channel, you figured out that it has to do with art. So welcome, and let's just jump right in. If you don't have your sketchbook, I don't know why you don't have your sketchbook. Come along with us. We're gonna be doing some doodles as we normally do on Mondays. This normally would be one of the hour sketches, but I totally forgot to set a timer, so we're just gonna jump right in. I have come with a list this time. She is learning. She's come prepared. Will she stumble? Will she fall? Probably, but that's what the edit button for. So we're learning. This is the third video, so it's a slow roll. We're going to talk about the man in the moon, or the man on the moon today. We're also going to bring up my weird obsession with button eyes in Tim Burton. And we're going to tell a little bit of a funny story about how I used to sneak into my older sister's room because she had a cooler setup than I did. Before that, though, one of the best tools that you could possibly have in your toolkit as an artist is a kneaded eraser. If you don't know what a kneaded eraser is, this is a kneaded eraser. So as I was drawing this, I was wondering, one, I didn't remember if it was the man in the moon or the man on the moon, so that just became a kerfuffle in my brain and I had to Google it. It is the man in the moon. But did you know that there is more than one story regarding the man in the moon? I actually didn't know where it originated from or the story behind it. I knew the phrasing, but you know, things are different other places. And it turns out that every different culture has a different story for the man in the moon and how he ended up getting there. There was a couple cool ones, like there was one girl who ended up drinking like a double dose of like immortality potion and somehow got it stuck up there. There was a dude that like rode a chariot, but there was some really cool ones that kind of stuck with me. I'm going to botch some of these names, and some of them I can't pronounce, so bear with me on that one. I just don't have the tongue for it. So the first one comes from the Haida mythology. Again, spell check, double check that tonage. I don't know how to say it. The first story is about a young boy and his chores. So this young boy was told to pick up sticks by his father, who was working in a farm. The little boy didn't want to pick up sticks, so he started to slack around and do nothing throughout the day, so it would become nightfall and he wouldn't be able to see. At that time, the moon came out and shone its light, and the father's like, "Oh, look, the moon has provided light for us so that we can continue." And the boy was not happy about that and started cussing out the moon. Lo and behold, the moon heard and got upset, and then ended up picking up the boy and putting it on the moon's surface, so where he got trapped there for being disrespectful to the moon. The next one was a Vietnamese mythology. This one's kind of weird. There was a woodcutter on Earth, and he was a little bit magical. He had a magic scythe, and he tended his garden and his crops with his wife. One day, his wife had decided to water a tree, but unknowingly ended up using bad water. So the tree, in all its glory, got upset about this and decided to pick up its roots and fly away. The husband, the bright cookie in the cookie jar, decided at that moment it was a great time to grab the roots of the tree, which then flew him to the moon and trapped him there. But don't worry, later on in the story, 3 other goddesses ended up showing up on the moon to keep him company. So that's kind of cool. At least he wasn't lonely. I don't know where his wife ended up, but what could you do? You know, that's actually something to consider. That would be a really cool series where I look into different mythologies and base some of my artwork and my drawings within the sketchbook or even outside of the sketchbook on that specific mythology. I think that would vibe so well with my imagination. See, now that I put it out into the universe, the wheels in my head are starting to turn. I actually took a mythology class in college. There are definitely some that I remember from back in the day that I'm starting to think of some really cool ideas for even now. We're going to put a pin in that. That might be a series that comes in the future. Let me know what you guys think. Nevertheless, as I continue to digress, as my mind takes a detour, there's a lot that I'm learning with this editing process too that I'm so excited to unlock for the future. I've already started on other major projects and I've just been like consuming so much knowledge that I've been squirreling away just for later dates, and I can add to my collection of ideas and stuff and methods and procedures and processes. I even had my friend come in and help me with some B-roll shots for later on that I want to implement into a couple of my pictures, but that's not going to come till a lot later. Still super exciting for what is to come for the future though. I wanted to talk about a lot of my artwork has button eyes in it. I blame Tim Burton. I'm obsessed with his work. He's one of my je ne sais quoi obsessions that I do have. It's something that I am trying to step away from, but like I like to draw just that level of creepy in my pictures, and it just kicks it up to the next level. And you can't argue with Coraline. That movie was top notch. All of Tim Burton's stuff is top notch. But you, as an artist, you always are going to take a little bit from this artist and you know, that folks over there or that program over there, that cartoon that you were really obsessed with when you were a kid. That's what makes you know, those are the things that draw your attention. Those are the things that you're interested in. So obviously that's going to become a part of your artwork. And that's what happened to me. Like, this is one solid feature. It's not drawn like Tim Burton, but it definitely has a Tim Burton feel to it. A lot of my work tends to have that kind of twist to it. It's very odd. It borders like some realism with some twisted stuff. But it's a challenge for me sometimes because you become accustomed to drawing things a certain way and you want to step out of that, right? This is one of the challenges that I have for myself as well later on, or like growth that I want to achieve later on in my career as an artist or hobby, or however you want to define this. I want to change. I want to grow. I want to do something different. Speaking of changing and growing, okay, so this is going to sound weird. The one of the things that I always have problems drawing is a repetitive pattern when it comes to rope. There's a lot of my stuff, again, back in the day, a couple of old sketches. We'll do a sketchbook tour later on down the road, but that have rope included in it, and my mind just doesn't want to do the repeat pattern. And this is a quick sketch, but it was like, as I was drawing, it was driving me mental. So I ended up going back into my sketchbook later on and figuring out like different ways that you can draw rope. I looked them up on Pinterest, took a look and saw a couple of reference points, and I used that as a baseline just to do a couple of practice lines, so I could get used to drawing that pattern and that trick of like that repetitive motion. I know it seems like the most simplest task, but it's like after the third or fourth knot, my brain's just like, what were we doing? I don't know. My brain takes a holiday and just steps back. You can actually see like I'm trying to like rush through it because it's become so repetitive. And then I was just like, I need to take a second and break. This guy is one of my favorites. He's so cute. I don't know who he reminds me of. I'm still trying to think of it, but I thought he was the most adorable thing. I really wanted to get like a two-tone thing on his beak going. And of course, his shoes are just ballin'. Is ballin' cool? Is saying ballin' cool? It's like yeet. I don't even know anymore. I'm going to be that cool aunt when I'm older, where I just embarrass the living daylights out of my nieces and my nephews. Be like, I'm hip, yo. I can come chill. That's going to be me. And I'm going to have like 3 cats that I'm horribly allergic to. and Bob is going to be in the picture. Oh, you guys haven't met Bob yet. That will be a surprise for another day. But I'm going to love bugging my family when they get a little bit older. It's so exciting. Speaking of bugging family, I always looked up to my older sister, or rather her room specifically. She always had the cooler stuff than us. I don't know why, you know? I think that's where my obsession with moons really actually started. If you remember back in the day, when parents actually used to decorate their kids' rooms and themes. So my twin and I, we actually ended up getting stuck with Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, while she had this whole moon and stars vibe going on, and it was so much sweeter than ours. I remember I'd sneak into her room and borrow, let's say, liberate some of her stuff, like her CDs or some of her clothes when she wasn't home, or even her hair products. You know, the usual classic younger sibling stuff that you used to do. I always remember wanting her room so bad because she had the coolest setup. I think it's time for me to dip out for the night, but I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you so much for coming in and joining us on today's sketch. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, and we will be back next week with another quick sketch and hopefully some new content. I want to implement some new stuff into the play. But again, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. I'll leave you to the rest of the sketch and the final review of the final artwork. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.